Hello, everyone, and welcome to the today's session for AI Insights. Today we have a session in requirements elicitation. Welcome from the IIBA UK. Our facilitator today is Shobin Vincent. He's a business analyst with 16 years or more experience. He's currently working at a company, LTM, providing IT services, but he has a long career spanning different programs in the UK, US, Europe, and beyond. He works primarily in technology side in BA, and he's led global BA teams as well, doing capability models, stakeholder landscapes. And he particularly has enjoyed jumping into AI and has been an early adopter. And he's self-taught, jumping in, getting it wrong, learning fast, and he's here to show us some useful tips and information on a requirement solicitation. So, Shobin, over to you.
Thank you so much, Bronya. Just want to check in if the audio and video is fine and the presentation is good. Thank you so much. Thanks, everyone, for taking out time for this session. And also thank you so much for IIBA for this opportunity. Bronya and Christina, under your leadership, we have been running this series, and I've got the second opportunity now in the second series to speak about AI and required solicitation. So what we're going to do today is as soon as the tech works. Yeah, there you go. So what would the next 80 or so minutes look like? I know it's 6 o'clock in UK, and I'm not sure if anyone else is joining us from any other part of the world, but thank you so much again for taking time to come on board. What we're going to do is I only have 8 slides, so I'm not going to bore you with the slide content. But before we get started, in case if you would want to grab a cup of tea, coffee, whatever you drink to keep you energized for the next 80 or so minutes, please do so while we get into the introduction sessions. What you will see over the course of next 80 minutes is I'll give you a real example of what we have done right now on requirements elicitation as to how we have managed to get that done. How does an AI-assisted BA work actually look like? So you will see real-world example. We'll have a quick recap of the BA techniques that you're using in requirements elicitation, and we will actually do a live work through it. And so there will be a demo that will be done end-to-end during this session. And then what will you do differently from the next week? Because tomorrow is Friday and we don't work on Fridays, right? So that's the agenda. And at any point in time, absolutely feel free to pause, ask questions, put in the chat, put in the comments. And at the end of the session, if time permits, I'll definitely pick them all in. Otherwise, please feel free to connect with me on LinkedIn. I can be found with Shobin Vincent, just my name. And I am more than happy to get connected thereon and answer your questions. So if we can get on to just understanding who's in the room. On your screen, you should be able to see a QR code. Hopefully, you are able to get into menti.com. Alternately, you can also just go to menti.com and put in the number 64574722. It is on your screens, and we'll get to know who is in the room today. All right. Well, let's get started. Hopefully you are able to see and also start answering. Just 2 so far. Hopefully you folks are able to log in. Or maybe the menti.com number was wrong. Apologies if you're logging in with the URL. It's 68633851. Any more folks? Yeah, there is one. Can I get maybe one or two more? Okay, so folks keep joining in. You can see 12 now have come in. 10 of you have responded. If more of you can respond, that would be fantastic. All right, let's see the responses. So there are few of you who are using it few times a day and definitely few every few minutes. That is fantastic. So for the folks who are looking in for every few minutes, hopefully the session is still useful and valuable for you to learn something new that I have experienced. And for folks who are using it few times a day, once a week or occasionally, I'm hoping that I'll be able to pull you on to the left side and you are able to use AI more and more as we go forward. So let's look at the next question again. What tools are in your regular toolkit? What do you generally use? Oh, the participation just exploded. We have 20 folks now. That is great. We'll take in another few seconds, maybe another 30 seconds to 45, just to get to know. Yeah, lovely. 24. Okay. Oh, wow. Just look at that. Just look at that. Two broad extremes, ChatGPT and Copilot. I am so glad because today it will be a lot of Claude. Sorry for people who came in to see ChatGPT and Copilot. I'll actually be using more of Claude, and that's just the shift that has happened in the last few weeks. Not because I don't like ChatGPT or Copilot. I have been a big user of ChatGPT for a very long time, but I'm so glad that you would be able to see also Claude's output. And I, by no means this session is sponsored by Claude or I'm a Claude employee, but just help you understand how things go. And there are more people coming in for Copilot. Fantastic. Let's understand it more. And for the folks who are using these tools, have you gone beyond just the chat box? Have you used for folks who have used ChatGPT? Have you used custom GPTs? And for people using Copilot, have you used the agents? Have you used AI in Power Automate? Do you use voice mode, image generation, or chat is just the thing enough for you? Another few seconds for the last few folks who are probably reading it, Googling it, or edging it and just trying to understand what does all these things mean. Then also you will also get an opportunity to get to know a few of them during the course of the session. Maybe another 5 seconds. Anyone who is locked in and hasn't given an answer yet? Uh, oh, there you go. One more person join it. Thank you. Let's look at it. Okay. So there is a decent amount of folks for whom chat is still enough, which is fine. Then you would be able to understand to use different things during this conversation today. But custom GPTs and Copilot agents, as well as using it for image generation, is good. What I'm finding a little surprising is that voice mode still continues to be on the lower end. I know Bronya Korean, and others had a session last time, and we spoke about a good prompt. But if you haven't used doing speech to text to a prompt, then I definitely urge you to try that out. In all of the tools that you have, you can actually dictate what you want to do, and the AI will convert that as a prompt and use it. So folks who haven't used the voice mode yet, please do so. I think we should be almost there on this end right now. Just last few things to understand. Has AI ever sat in your elicitation work? So as a BA, have you been using AI for something? You've tried it, but you were not very happy with it. You've thought about it, but not used it yet. And you feel so proud of being a business analyst or consultant that you still feel elicitation is too human for AI right now. Very strong feelings coming in very quickly on this one. Let's have just a few more seconds. Maybe another 10 seconds more for anyone who just still wants to answer, so that we have a better understanding of the session that's going to happen and the room and the call today. Okay. All right. Tried it, mixed results, thought about it, but not yet. So for the 10 odd, 11 odd people, slightly skewed on this side, 14 of you have definitely used it, have genuinely found it helpful. So again, from this session, I'm hoping that you will be able to get a little bit more insights about how things can be done, and you're able to use it in more and more of your elicitation work. Okay, with that, let's resume on to our presentation. So I'm not going to jump in and explain what the problem that I have used and how I have used AI in elicitation. And this is a very recent example, just finished in this week. So for the client that I'm working in, their steering committee signed off a new feature with 10 components that has to be rolled out across 15 countries globally. So new feature, they are a client which deals with a lot of manufacturing and retail. So they decided that something has to be rolled out very quickly. Now, the thing that is there on the table is that all of these 15 markets, they have their own tech stack. So they don't work the same way, but they want to have a unified customer experience across all of their markets. And some of these markets are mature, some of them are still growing in. So there were many things that had to happen. And I'm hoping that all of you are also feeling similar things and hearing similar things. Post-COVID era, the travels are not as much as they used to be because thanks to Microsoft Teams, transcripts, transcribers, facilitators, you name it, people are very happy now to do cross the globe marketing and meeting events, right? So what was decided was we would have to do a workshop. We would have to do a series of workshops over a course of 1 month with all of these 15 countries, get to know them, get to know their requirements. And it was across a variety of time zones from Australia all the way to United States. So we're just going to get Teams events. But from these 45 workshops, we had to gather requirements for the system that we had to build. Now, everything that came out of these sessions had to become reality, right? All of you are very experienced business analysts, and also for the folks who are budding in or kind of now giving advice to others, you would know from such meetings which never go as per exactly like you plan. You have a session, you have an agenda, you start gathering requirements, then people do have other thoughts in picture. You have a plan, then somebody falls off, you need to take care of them, you need to bring them on board again, you need to rally people, and there are a lot many things that would happen, right? So based on all of these things, if you have to now form your high level requirements, it was going to be difficult. In the olden days, or pre Microsoft Teams, pre AI, what you would generally do is have whiteboards, run sessions, gather things, and at the end of the day, you're forming your notes and then eventually pulling it into your requirements. But in the modern day, how do we do about it? So, how do we go about doing it? What we wanted to do was, of course, use AI for helping us to carry out the entire elicitation process, right? So 45 workshops, I would say each workshop was around 1 hour each. The transcripts were 2 to 3 MBs long. So it was definitely not going to be possible that you will just upload the transcript onto a chat and then expect a transcript to come out, requirements to come out of it, right? Then folks who have been using AI also do understand that summarization is one of the benefits as well as banes of the AI, because if you just feed in a very large content, it by default will summarize it. Tokens for folks who are using ChatGPT and Copilot, you would know that at some point there is hallucinations that start coming in, things start slowing down, and there's also cost associated with if you're on the Pro plan, there's associated with that. Memory. If you have been using ChatGPT for a very long time, you know that if it's a very long running chat, at some point it starts giving you staccato lines, it starts giving you hallucinated things, it starts giving you made up things, and you know that it's going to go out of steam very soon. The context window was definitely not going to be possible, right? Within one chat window, or even if we put 5 meeting transcripts, that's still going to be around an easy 5 to 6 MBs of content, and it is not going to have the presentations with it. So we had a lot of these problems to kind of deal with. So what we did was, or what I did specifically with the team that I'm working, is a 8-step process on how do we do it. And what I'm talking right now, we're going to see it live. So we're going to do it. If you want to follow along with me, please feel free. You can have your own AI stuff ready while we are doing this on time, real time, but I'll also show it how it's going to work. And so 1 or 2 more slides, and then that's the end of the slide work. So what we did was, number one is to establish the context. You have to help AI build the context around what really needs to be done. So in order to build this whole workflow, the step number one was to set the context for AI as to how AI is going to understand what needs to be done. So we built in 2 spines. I called it the spine because it acted as the nerve center for the entire analysis work that had to happen. So one was based on which the workshops were conducted. Second, the whole idea about what was to be built. Then, in order to force AI to ensure that none of the spoken words are taken out of context, we numbered each spoken sentence. And again, not we had Python do it. So we built in a whole system which uses Python, which uses ChatGPT, Copilot, Power Automate, different things. I can walk you through the entire solution that we built. So it takes in each of these transcripts, each single transcript, each single sentence that is spoken by a meeting attendee person, it kind of numbers each one of them and it catalogs each one of them because we don't want to miss out any spoken statement, right? So step number one, establish the context. Step number two is you number each of the spoken statements. Once each of the spoken statements are numbered, then we get into step number three, which is classifying each statement. And this is where NLP or natural language processing, LLMs were used, wherein based on the spoken sentence, each of the sentences were then classified. Right. So we didn't still change the spoken word. So like on this meeting, I'm speaking, whatever I'm speaking would not change. It will just classify each of those sentences as is, to be, it identifies the persona, the system, the market. So there was a whole classification that happened. Then what I did is we put all of those classifications segregated by market onto an Excel sheet. Why an Excel sheet? So the AI created an Excel sheet because this is where the human in the loop element comes in. This is where we had the BA team, there were 3 or 4 of us, who reviewed the Excel sheet for the classifications. Did AI classify those statements correctly? So within the same Excel sheet, we also then provided back the output saying it is right, wrong, needs a change, and why it needs a change, right? Once that Excel sheet was completed in, then we went into building the next part of AI, which is it took the Excel sheet, it took the original statements, and then it started building into contextual elements. So it's brought up small elements. And those elements using the spine started creating the entire output. And what I just said right now, we're going to see it live, right? So essentially, we had a system built in. It's a small tool, a utility that was built in Python. A large part of work was done with Python. And again, AI coded Python. So it's not like I or the team that I'm working with, we did the coding. AI created the Python scripts, it created the Python program. We had context set out in any of the tools that we used. And we had all the AI part interacting with it and then giving us the output. And based on that, we are able to create a high-level requirement document in 30 minutes from 5 to 6 hours plus transcripts that were done with each market. right? So instead of just using the chat window or a copilot or a custom GPT to do just one part of work, we entirely set up the end-to-end process. And why it worked is because we had traceability at the source, right? Every single spoken word had a traceability. It was numbered, it was unique. We ensured that we were not burning our tokens. We used Python for a lot of deterministic work, and when it was non-deterministic, we went on to AI for helping that happen. The context was anchored, so every single agent that was leveraged was having the context anchored with it. Nothing was skipped. There was an entire process that went along with it. The consistency was guaranteed, and we were able to maintain the pace. So within a month, 45 plus workshops, were able to create all the requirements documents. We were on time, and we did not suffer at all with quality, consistency, or the timeline. Now, that's all the boring stuff, right? Are you all excited now to see how all of this will work in action? Because that's where the things would happen. And again, like I just mentioned, if you are interested to follow along, but I'm going to show it in Claude. It can be exactly done the same way in a custom GPT. So if folks are going to use custom GPT, think about it. We will be making 4 custom GPTs today. If you want to follow along with me, if you're using Copilot, you would be creating 4 Copilot agents to kind of carry out this work with me. And if you're going to use Claude, you can definitely see what is being shown on the Claude part. Okay. So the only thing that I want to talk about before we get into seeing the stuff is that um, if you haven't yet answered the question to yourself, as a BA, we are not going to change doing our core part of the work, which is analyzing the business. But if we are yet not changing the way that we are doing, then we're missing out a lot of opportunities. And my hope is that after we finish the session today, you're going to get another way of doing things on with AI, some more insights, and that it will be useful for you in getting the things done. Yeah. All right. Having said that, let's move on now to some things that we want to build. Okay. So what I want to do is I'm gonna take in the IIBA site. Nothing better to work as an experiment. As soon as okay. So let's look at what are we seeing. So this is the IIBA site. I'm hoping that while you were registering for this particular session, you would have seen this. This definitely has got a refreshed look. What we are going to do is we are going to imagine that IIBA under Christina Bronya have called in to just have a refresh of the site, something that you might have encountered in your careers. Now, in a typical way, how would you do is you will see the site, you will gather your questions, you can go prepared to an interview, you can call in Bronya, Christina, and a Kitty, for example, Korean, and there could be some people. You may do some random crowd sampling. You will ask a set of questions. You will get all of those inputs in. You will analyze it, summarize it, create themes, epic stories, and then somebody from the design team is going to do all of that stuff about creating how the new site will look like, and then the work will be done, right? But what if we can do it in the next half an hour or 45 minutes? Does that sound exciting? Can we refresh, rebrand, not rebrand, sorry, that was too much stretch, but at least can we refresh and see how does the new site look like? Would you all be excited? If yes, some reactions, emojis would be fantastic. Or even if you want to come off mute, that's totally fine. Okay, so how it's going to work is on Claude, you might be seeing projects, which is exactly how you would do a custom GPT, or you are going to create Copilot agents. It works exactly the same. I have got 4 projects here. The first one is going to be the interviewer. So imagine this is a BA, literally a BA, who is preparing for an interview. So I have prepped all of it in. What it is going to do is it's going to take a screenshot. Yeah. And this particular Claude project is now going to generate a series of questions, interview questions, and we will see how the output is. It will generate a series of questions that can be used by the BA while they're going to conduct the interview with the stakeholders. Okay, so that's going to be part one. Then I will have the analyst whose work is going to be taking the transcript. So imagine the meeting has happened, the interview is completed, there's a transcript available. So what the analyst is going to do is the analyst is going to take in all that transcript and it's going to analyze something that we do. It's just going to make it do it faster. And it's going to give us an output about what was spoken in those meetings. The solution designer is going to pick all of that stuff in and it's going to create epics and user stories. So it's not going to give you everything, but it's going to give you something. The last one is where you're going to see bolt.new. If you have not seen it, we're going to see that. It's going to create prompts for Bolt, and then Bolt will create the new refreshed site. Yeah. So that's the overall process. And this is what exactly I spoke about how we did it. So in our example also, when we had 45 plus meetings and a lot of sessions that were going on, what we really took is we took all the transcripts, we fed it into this workflow of things, which then converted everything that we needed. I'll take a quick pause if somebody wants to come off mute and ask a question about what you're seeing on the screen, if you want me to dive deeper into something before you start seeing actually how all of this is working. Any questions from anyone? Anyone wants to come off mute, ask anything? Or if there are things on the chat.
Can I ask one quick question? Kitty, this is
Yes,
Kitty.
Kitty.
Human BAs, they have the corporate domain expertise and experience. How are we going to train AI with the corporate knowledge before we ask the AI to do this analysis or report writing?
Sure. Okay. That was going to be the first thing that Kitty, thanks for asking that question. So the context setting, that is number one, which is very important. So if I just pick up the interviewer as a project, what you would find is just for this one, let me see if I can show the file for you folks. Sorry, just give me a second. Sorry, just taking a quick moment. If you are still able to see the screen, what you're seeing is an MD file, markdown file. Unfortunately, for folks who are using Copilot, my understanding is Copilot doesn't support out of the box an MD file, a markdown file. A markdown file is a little bit better file as compared with just a normal text file because it just helps setting the context easier, and it is easier for AI to read and understand it. Right. So to Kitty's question, how do we set the context? So the first thing that we need to understand is AI will work better if you set the context incorrectly. So a file like this essentially has set in the entire context of what I want to perform. It basically talks about, I want to do a UI, IIBA UK website redesign. I have told what the pipeline is, what each of those are, what are my stakeholders. So it has an idea about the personas which is there, what is the quality I want, what is the four-phase workflow I want, and what are the constraints that I've put in, right? So this sort of, and again, I have not handwritten this. This is developed by the AI itself, understanding of what the context is all over about. And then this sets the paradigm. So Kitty, to answer your question, basically we would take in the data, the document, the knowledge that is available. Of course, it needs to be digital data. Even if it's not digital data, we can definitely carry out some of interviews, gather those requirements, gather those inputs, gather the information, and then build a context like that. Right? This context is what will guide AI to perform better. Okay. All right. So let's get back to what we want to do. And I have the IIBA site open somewhere here. Okay. And I did discover something very nice that Edge has got a very nice feature, which is capture the entire screenshot. So what it has done is it has taken the screenshot of the entire page. And I'm just gonna copy that screenshot, nothing more. And I'm gonna go back to my interviewer. So the whole purpose of this one is to help me as a BA or you as a BA who might be going in to carry out the work. I'm just going to paste the image. They're all instructions, and then I'll show you what it's really going to do. Yes, it has got that in, and I'll just send it. That's pretty much it. Now you will see what the AI is trying to do. It's trying to now analyze the image. It has been already prepped up. Maybe it's waking up from its coffee break. Didn't expect to work at 6 o'clock in the evening, but hopefully it starts running. What it's going to do is it's going to basically analyze the image. It has been given a set of instructions. It has got the context in place. And based on that, it's going to pick up and create a set of analysis on what it's going to take. And it's been very kind to me today, Claude, since it's going to take a little bit more longer time. So what it's basically going to do is it will analyze the entire image. It knows what it is supposed to do. It is supposed to give me a list of interview questions that need to be asked to, say, Christina, Abronia, or somebody else who is just trying to get into this particular session and help them prep for the session. So this one of the things that we as BAs do is always do a little bit of research and work that out. I think it just needs a little bit of refresh. Let's just give it a try again. As always, demo fevers do happen. When Bill Gates could suffer it, I am nobody to suffer that. So it's totally fine. Let's see if I'm lucky this time around. Try that again. I am just hoping it is not like yesterday when Claude did have an outage. In case it did, let me not take any more of your time. If it starts generating, you will start seeing it. But there is one that I did just before the session to run it so that I can show you really how it goes about. It's a long list of things, but let's see what it did. Right. So same thing, an image just put in today afternoon. It has been defined a phase 1 of analysis. So it's going to it's going to read out the screenshot. It's going to define, it has identified this an IAB website. It has gone ahead and it has done its own set of analysis on what are the navigation elements, what content blocks are there. It has figured out all the events, everything is going on. It has done its own understanding of the image. Right? All of this it has done all by itself. So it has understood the image. And then once it has understood the image, it has gone into a phase 2, which is called as generate, which means based on the analysis and the spine or the context it was given, it has started forming questions for the board members, right? So let's look at existing member questions. If you look at the website, just for the context again, that's the events website. There are events, there are tags, there is calendar, grid, and navigations and all that stuff. It has started asking if you're an existing member, which a lot of us on the call would be, and then it has started forming questions, right? So I'll just leave those things for a moment on the screen and just you look at whether the quality, the output that has come in, is it nice or not? Okay, I think it has started generating. There you go. Live generation. So it has done the phase 1 analysis. It is phase 2 generate the questions. So it's generating the questions. And I'll again pause at the existing member question. So if you look at it, a genuine question. Walk me through the last time you used the events page to find something to attend. What are you looking for and how did you go about finding it? Does that feel a fair enough question to ask a person who is just looking at the website? Some thumbs ups, some emojis, some chats. Would be very nice to see. Yeah. Sounds okay. Sounds like a good question, series of questions that you're seeing as it has made. I've just given it an image, nothing more. Based just on that image, for people like you and me, if we had to conduct a workshop in a room with people from IIBA UK, people like me and you who are members, people like who are prospects, if we put all of us into a room together and we were doing a session and we had to prepare for the session, which means we had to have a list of questions in place, do these questions based just on that image analysis sound right enough? I can scroll a little bit more.
Shobin, I've got a question.
Yes, Ravana.
So, sorry, my name is not Rovina. Actually, I'm the member. I'm Minakshi, and I
Okay.
actually added my sister-in-law, who's also Rovina on the screen there. Sorry,
No worries.
sorry about
No
that.
worries.
But my question is, when we use AI at work, and even if who was the person who asked you? Was it
Kitty.
Kitty, I think, isn't it? Who said you needed the context of the organization. How can that replace, the human knowledge of the organization, the commercial acumen of things that happen in the organization. My worry always is when I use AI, I have to gray out things which are specific to the organization and put XX or YY and then get some output. Because I'm always afraid it goes out somewhere into the net, which things that might be confidential. Is that addressing this file? Would that address that bit if we were conducting many workshops and some of that information might be confidential?
So I can answer that question in two ways. One, within our organization also we use Microsoft Copilot because it has got the enterprise guardrails in picture. So it remains within the enterprise's organization. It does not really go out because it's the guardrails in picture. But the other thing that we do is like on this one, right? Let's just try to see a project. If I get back on to the interviewer. So if you see the context file that we had brought in before.
Yeah, the one that you'd earlier shared, isn't it?
Yes. So building that information, Rovina, we also kind of do it in step-by-step stages, which is basically internal AI tools which are approved by the enterprise. You can use them. I do use them sometimes to find out, does this contain anything that is very specific to the organization? Does it name people? For example, if I have to redact a lot of part of the transcript, I actually use Copilot, who are all named in this particular meeting. Name the persons who are named it. And then I use Copilot itself to change it to person 1, person 2, person A, person B. If it's a meeting where I have got BA, solution architect, designer, then I just put the titles in. I'll just say the BA asked the question, the designer asked the question. So it takes away the personal aspect of it, but the context is still remaining there, right? So I do use sometimes Copilot itself to say, name all the people. Was there a brand responded? Was there a financial information? Was there any personal identifier information? So I do run a set of checks on the transcript itself or the knowledge file itself before getting it uploaded into the system.
Thank you for that. I think that was what I wanted to ask. Thanks.
Okay, so if we are
Shobin, while you're there's another couple of questions that are probably applicable to this bit. Alan's just said, I think he's not sure if he's missed something. Where is the MD file used or what is it part of? So if useful to explain that. And also Chris has just asked whether you're able to share the instructions you've used to set up the agent. So if that's something that's too long for this, then we can always send that out to afterwards to attendees if you wanted.
Yeah, so I'll take the second one first. The instructions, this is the same thing on a custom GPT. So if you go to custom GPT, I think you have got create and configure. If you click on configure, you get to see a set of things and there is an instruction set in the middle. Or when you are creating a Copilot, it's exactly the same thing. You have got an instruction set, 8,000 characters is the limit. You can create an instruction set. So as you can see here, it is an instruction set which sets the role for the project. It says, what is that you're doing? It has been given, what is your single job? So there is boundaries set up. right? This project particularly has got only thing about analyzing. It will not create output for the requirements. It is confined, it's bounded, and it is context-led, right? So the entire roles and responsibilities, again, for folks who did join last session on good prompting techniques, there was a very nice way of doing it. This is a very large prompt as compared with all of that was taught there. So the entire instructions are built in. Again, I did not build all of these instructions. This was also AI assisted, but you need to know how to tell AI to build those instruction set for you, right? So the entire instruction set was created. What the context file, the MD file, what it does is I have got 4 projects, right? Like I said, let's break it down again. I have got a website that I want to redesign. So I want to analyze the website. I want to have discovery workshops or interview workshops. Then I want to understand those transcripts which have come out of those workshops. Then I want to create my epics, user stories, and themes. And then last but not the least, I want the prompts to come out. So if I have to do this consistently, something needs to remain consistent across the 4 projects because the 4 projects do not know each other. Like me and you know that we exist because we are on the call, but the AI can't see each other. So the AI does not know. Therefore, something has to connect all of 4 these. So if you are creating custom GPT, you can create a series of custom GPTs, break down each GPT to its all smaller bit, and then have something that connects all of this. So this MD file, the markdown file, MD stands for markdown, is, as you can see here, it has got hashes and double stars and all this thing. This helps AI read a text file better. So if you use Claude or ChatGPT, a markdown file is definitely recommended. It helps you process text files better. And again, you can just ask AI itself to create a markdown file for you. It will do it for you. Right? So you don't have to worry about how to go about creating all of this stuff. But the whole idea is, what is that I'm doing? So this is a demo, right? This is the engagement. What is the pipeline? Each project is existing. What are the stakeholders? So they are consistent. What's the quality I want? What's the workflow that is there? What are the hard constraints that are there, right? All of that stuff is there. And this same file is uploaded in the 4 projects. And that helps you bind the context. That helps you give out a consistent output. Yeah, I hope I have answered both the questions. If not, please do ask further questions.
Mark, did that cover off yours on your MD files, or is there something you wanted to ask further on that? If you want to come
No,
off mute.
well, yeah, mine was more just where the value of creating an agent versus just using like skills files, especially with like Claude.
It's only about continuity, Mark. So as you will see, as I progressively use the projects, they can still use the same skills, no doubts about it. But skills are most used by Claude for generating output, and it gives you consistent output. But it's just about understanding it, and I try to keep it separate so that there is clear segregation of concerns, as it is called in a microservices architecture. You bound every service with a particular output that it should give. So it just helps it work faster. It just helps it consistently. So I end up creating multiple MD files which give different context. As you will see when we go to the 4th project, you'll actually find 2 skill files, 2 MD files there as compared with 1. Yeah. Okay. But so first thing that we have sorted is how to figure out such a chain of work, not just rely on a chat window to kind of carry out everything that you want to do. Second thing is we talked about how to keep it safe, secure, and everything. And then what you would see is that this project has got phases inside it, right? It has internally a workflow. So after its analysis of the screenshot, it has gone ahead and created questions that it wants. And you read some of those questions, and I hope you don't find it a sloppy set of questions, which is what a complaint a lot of time it comes, that AI generates questions which are not good. Once all those questions are created for all the participants, right? So all the people who want to be there in the workshop, we have asked questions for all of them. What it is going to do is it's going to validate. It is self-critiquing itself. So it has created a set of output, but it's going to validate. It's going to figure out whether the question that it is asking is relevant to the image, is relevant to the context. So it has done its validation. It has identified that there were 3 problems. And once all the 3 problems are sorted, it gives me the final list of questions, which I now can carry on. Hopefully, if IIBA UK decides to change something on the website and they want to carry out such an activity, then I can take these questions in and carry out my interview prep. Right? So that is stage one. We are now set for the interview that we want to carry. The research has been completed, and based on that research, a series of questions have emerged, which can now be asked during the workshop. Okay, so now let's go and say that we have created, let's go back to the project. So let's say that like a workshop like this, where we ask the set of questions, people have answered those questions, and you have done it on Microsoft Teams, you have done it on Google Meet, you have used Otter AI, Firefly AI, whichever way you want, and you have got your notes taken, right? How do you go about and analyzing those notes? So for that, I have got my analyst, which again, if you would see, has the same context file. Right? What I used in the first project is the same one because now it knows that I'm going to invoke the analyst, which is part of project 2. It knows in series where it does its stand. So the MD file sets the context again. What I'm going to do is I am going to open a transcript, which is again AI created. It's a made up transcript because I didn't have the choice. File. So if you can see like an MS transcript, it has created all of this content in. It's quite long, 7-8 minutes long transcript, all created like that. All I'm going to do is I'm going to put in that MD file here. So the transcript. So once you get your MS transcripts, you can just pick up the transcript and you can put it here. What it's going to do is exactly the same that it did, but this time the context is different. This time its job is to ruminating on it. This time its job is to understand what was spoken in the workshop, right? So you had your interview, the interview questions were present. You went and conducted those workshops. The workshops would have been recorded, transcripts would have come out of it. And what this analyst will do with the transcript is it's going to analyze, it's going to understand sentiments in the room, it's going to understand who spoke what was important, what was not important. It's going to carry out all of that stuff. Again, like the demo, it's going to take some time. So I'll just show the one that was done before so that you can see what it is doing. We'll keep an eye out of it as it starts working. So I had actually taken in full transcripts. There are 4 transcripts which are there. It has gone ahead and analyzed it. So it has taken who is the board member, what is requirement. It is implicit, explicit, elicitation, observation. So there are rules written in it. According to the rules set in, it is classifying each spoken sentence. So each person, whoever has said something, it is all going to number all of them, right? It has given a number to each sentence that was spoken. And while it has assigned a number, it is also classifying it. A lot of you who have used AI know at some point, AI does a lot of summarization. It does a lot of paraphrasing. It compresses a lot of things. So the way to force AI to ensure traceability is you explicitly ask it to number or catalog or list things, because a number helps AI remember where it came from and how much it has to account for, right? So the first stage is basically just number and classify the statements and catalog it. So everything that was spoken is now picked up. It's all numbered. Everything is carried out on that. If you see, it's a very long file. So it has done all of that stuff. And then it's going to carry out the generate, which is requirement themes. So based on everything that was spoken, what are the themes that have emerged, right? The events page must communicate who organization is, not just what it wants to do, because the events page today doesn't have much about IAB. It just talks about the events. There's no banner missing. So it has formed an observation based on the transcript that was created. So it has now figured out some of the themes which emerged. And for each of those themes, it is finding out which statements did. And if you see here, it's putting in statement number 8. It's giving you the traceability. It is helping you understand how did it arrive at that particular theme. So it is giving you its understanding, its rational, its its thought process of how it analyzed and how it formed, and then it is giving you a traceability. This is one of the things that a lot of folks face struggle with while kind of leveraging large transcripts, is that AI does miss out a lot of things because it is just trying to find patterns, right? But based on this, if you can see, such a long file, it has managed to get everything done, what was the statements and everything. So it has found a lot of themes, I believe, and then it has figured out the constraints. You cannot change the website on a weekend. The website has to be live and all of that stuff. What is the platform constraint? Is there a cost constraint? So it has identified everything. Like all of these analysis done, of course, we'll have to validate that. Now in phase 3, which is a workflow within the same project, as you can see, it has gone in and checked whether all the statements have been contributed or not. So it is doing a self-check on itself, on the output that was created. And then finally, it creates the requirement themes which are needed, right? This is what would become the input for deciding the user stories, the epics, and the acceptance criteria. I'll take a pause again. If you have any questions, we can take them now. If there's something that I can explain again, I'm more than happy to do that. Any questions from anyone or on the chat?
Nothing new in the chat at the moment. People are asking if we can share resources later, but I'll make a list of those and catch up with you about that.
Sure thing, Bronya.
Do you output these into like a document form to then input into the next one?
Fantastic question. So as you can see, at the end of finalized project, I'm going to create an MD document again, because I can, as a human, I can read everything that is here, what is implicit requirements, if there are conflicts. So for my consumption, it has created a chart. And then for getting into the next part of the AI to work, it was also asked, the task that it was given at the end of all of this is also create an handover MD, so that that MD document goes into the next project for the AI to again consume it. So there are two outputs that come in. Thank you so much, Chris, for asking that question, because again, this is where you start thinking about how do you solution with AI, and you rightly figured out, does it give an MD file? Yes, it has been asked to give an MD file, and then it sets the context for that I'm going to give you a handover from project 2 to project 3. Project 3 is where the solution design happens, and it gives all the instructions that it needs it, and then what are the summaries, and then it gives you the same content, which is easier for the AI to analyze it. Fantastic questions. Thanks for asking that. Any more questions at this stage, folks? Yeah. All right. So again, live, just executed the second.
We do have a little one from Gottfried in the chat just come in. What are your experiences in generating diagrams in Mermaid or Plant UML? That might be something to answer in a bit.
Mermaid for me has really worked well, but then I have ended up formatting here and there a little bit, because the same thing that happens is if you just prompt to Mermaid, it will do whatever it understands. But then if you use Claude, ChatGPT, Copilot, give the context and say that I want a flow diagram to be created, then it starts creating. Again, there also you can use a markdown, or you can also use a Mermaid language. It actually does it more beautifully. And that's where I have found the difference between just prompting directly to Mermaid versus just using AI to form that flow diagram that you want, and then you feed it, it does give a better output. So if you haven't tried that, I really would urge you to do it. But again, it has not been like 100% there. Still some tweaks are needed, but I think as you experiment with it, you will definitely get this. So yes, diagrams can also be done in Mermaid. I've used that. Even Miro does good stuff. Miro also has got AI in it. If you prompt it correctly, and if you generate prompts out of elements like this, then it will definitely give you a better output. Hope that answers the question.
Do you want another couple of questions that are in there, or do you want to move on and jump back?
Yeah, I can take maybe one or two more. We're good on time.
Okay, so where are we? Mark has asked, have you tried Power Automating NA10 to couple these together?
So I actually have done Power Automate and Copilot agent itself. I didn't use an NA10. So I used Power Automate. It had Python scripts that it could run, and it could internally call the Copilot agent. So whatever you are seeing on 4 Claude projects, I have actually created 4 Copilot agents. And the Python, I used Python as an orchestration layer. So Python had a series of steps called out that you have to do this. So the numbering, for example, what you saw If you see this sort of numbering statement, one, statement two, I used Python to do that because then I don't have to burn the tokens. So Python did all of that stuff, and then Python called the Copilot agent. It passed on the numbered list of statements. Then the classification happened. I got a CSV back. Python picked that up, send it to the next Copilot agent. It kind of carried it. So yes, it can also be automated. But at this point in time, it's not so much work at the point in time that I needed a full end-to-end thing and just sit back and relax. So I kind of do it within the chat windows or the context windows, but it's definitely doable. Power Automate definitely works. Or you can also use an agent flow because the Copilot Studio now has launched agent flow, which is also similar thing. You can do orchestration of agents within Copilot Studio too.
And
Okay.
then I hope that's all right, Mark, dive
Sure.
in if there's anything extra. And James has just asked that there's a dependency as well on transcript here. So he just asked, is there any other tips on how we could use these types of agent projects when we've got in-person workshops, say to capture notes, especially if the client isn't allowing recordings to be made? Any thoughts on that?
Yeah, so I have also done whiteboard sessions where we have got sticky notes all around. But the only thing that, of course, sticky notes, I'm still allowed to take photographs. I haven't seen an organization, except one organization where photographs were definitely not allowed. Then you had no choice but pen and paper. You note down everything that you need from the sticky notes, but then that can be taken as a photograph and then put it into AI. In that stuff, the two things that are done a little differently is before pasting in the image, again, a proper context is set that I had this workshop. This is the reason the workshop happened. There were these people, because the sticky notes do not have the people behind it, right? A green color sticky note versus a pink color sticky note, where what is good, what is bad. If it is not readable, the AI is not going to understand all of that stuff in. So before putting in the sticky notes, setting the context, and not just about what happened, how it happened, who was there in the room, what was the agenda, did it run well, all of your inputs. And that is where I literally use a lot of voice to text. So instead of typing all of that stuff in, I just keep talking, like a dictation thing that's happening, right? You just speak all of that stuff in. It understands it, it catalogs it, it understands it. And after all of that stuff, then you tell, I'm now going to give you a picture of the sticky notes that I've taken in the workshop, analyze them, ask questions or clarifications before you include that in the analysis. So ask it to recognize the image, the sticky notes, the text on it, ask it to extract it. You verify that extraction that has happened, because not all letters, alphabets, exclamation marks, it may understand it. Once it has done and you're satisfied with how that output has come, then ask it to take it and analyze it end to end. Right? So a little bit of work if you do it ahead of time before the workshop. If you can set some context, and just like you're seeing here, you can set all of those things as MD files, and then AI should definitely be able to help you better. But if you just give it an image of the sticky notes, I don't think it's going to give you, it's going to give you some output for sure, because it is compelled to always give you an output, but that not be the quality that you're looking for.
Maybe talking your notes afterwards. I do know a couple of BA examples of where they weren't allowed to take in any kind of recording, literally just pen and paper. And one of them was a nuclear type facility, and they weren't allowed any mobile. They had to leave all of that behind. So there are situations where that does happen. So I guess talking back your own notes is probably a useful way to get that digitized.
Absolutely. So any more?
No, we do have, but carry on. I don't want to interrupt. We'll keep popping.
Okay, but thank you so much for asking the questions. I'm really glad that it's been very interactive so far, and I'm hoping that you're getting a hook of things. So the next thing that we want to do is, from our previous transcript analysis, workshop analysis, there are themes have emerged, right? There are pain points, there are observations, there are implicit requirements, there are explicit requirements. People said that there was a pain point that was added. So everything that we used to do when we were listening on it, we still have to do it. Nobody says that it should not be done. But once all of that themes are come in, how do you go around and analyze it? So if you're just saying the same thing, an MD file had been put in onto the solution designer, which is my third project, it has now started cataloging the themes, right? most important thing that from my personal experience, and I'm not saying that this is the only way to use AI, you can definitely experiment the way you want to, but the way I build accountability into AI is by always asking it to catalog it, list it, index it, so that I'm always able to trace back where it came from. That has been my biggest learning so far, is always ask to number it, list it, catalog it, right? So every time you see all of the things that I create, they will always have a similar approach, catalog it, biggest thing. It has cataloged all of the things. And again, same thing. It is always going to analyze, it's going to critique itself, it's going to validate itself, and then it's going to give you an output. So it has got all the analysis done. Now, if you see the step 2 is identifying epic candidates. So now it is now doing a sort of bunching in together. And for the sake of demo, I have said just restricted to 5 epics because I don't want to build the entire project. So it has taken and has started grouping themes. So again, natural language processing, it is trying to group things together. That's exactly how we also do, right? So when we have the sticky notes, we start building things together saying, this sounds similar. This is what you meant. Is your pain point the same? Exactly the same thing is happening here. It's just that the AI is doing that. So you have got all the epic candidates being identified. Then if there are scope boundaries, so beyond the context file. So for folks who asked me the question, in the context file, the MD file, I had told that these are the only 3 things that I'm going to tackle today, not anything more than that. So if in the transcript, there were things beyond this, flag them out. Don't consider them, don't mix them. So there were rules set in. So based on that, it has carried out all of that stuff, which are unresolved conflicts, which means these would have been things that would have been spoken in the workshop, the realistic workshop, where things would not have been resolved. It would have been marked for a later meeting. Somebody would have said, oh, we do not have the right person. You have to go in to speak to so and so forth. Or in a lot of times nowadays, that so and so person is no longer working in the organization. It's a very old system. We don't have documentation, all of those things, right? It has found all of that stuff, that there are some questions which were not answered, so it cannot give you a good output. It's escape path to say, if you find a quality issue, it's not because I do not do the job, it's because you did not give me all the output, right? That's its escape mechanism, and it's built in by design. After it has finished the analysis, it's going to generate. So now it has started generating the epic, and it has started giving me a story with, again, for the sake of demo, I have not asked it to build the entire stuff end to end. But if you see on all of these things, barely I have touched the keyboard. I have just copy pasted things from one place to another. One screenshot, just one screenshot of the IIBA UK website is what we started with. This is the 3rd project which has come in. And based on all of that stuff, it has now started creating the user stories and the epics that we need. And it has created a wonderful list of, I think, 10 stories or something it has created. So it has gone through all of that stuff. And then let's see out of scope items, unresolved conflicts, and now it gets into validate. And if you see again, each story, each theme has it accounted for it. Right? This is where, again, cataloging plays a large role, because now it has got numbers, it has got statements, and it has been able to figure out, saying that I have traced everything that has been spoken. So if you see chain of thoughts or chain of prompts or chain of the work we did, we had questions, they went into a workshop statements were recorded, the transcript was present, each spoken sentence in the transcript was given a number. From that number, there were themes that got emerged. From those themes came epics and user stories, and each one of them has got a traceability. So if you do it end to end, you can also solve one of the problems that we regularly face is requirements traceability matrix, because it now has got traceability, why something is an acceptance criteria, why something is a story. You can trace back the entire stuff end to end, right? That's why the numbering part is very important, because in my experience, AI feels very comfortable to work with numbers, and it can create any sequence of numbers, right? You have to decide like how do you want it, the numbers to be generated, but it can generate those numbers in, and then it will do it. After that, there's a set of QA work. It is going to carry out the checks, whether these epics and user stories make sense. Is all of that in place? For the story titles, is the stakeholder type correct? Are the want and do? So everything that a senior BA, a lead BA, or somebody who's in the system carries out the work, yeah, it's done all of that stuff, right? Then it is looking at the Gherkin format because that's what I wanted to create. Does the format real contest? Is it proper? Is it following SMART guidelines? It has done all of that checking, reviewing all 20 criteria. It has found that there is an issue. It's going to fix this issue, right? This is the loop that it is running. It's going to carry out the loops. So it has done all of that stuff, which remains unsolved. So it says there are some issues in the stories, but that's up to me as a human to review and all of that stuff to it. And then it's going to finalize it. So it has now finalized the list of EPIC. So visitors and prospective members can immediately understand what IIBA is and what it stands for and why the membership is relevant. I have highlighted this because you would see that how this gets converted into a prototype. And it has got its story. It has got all its acceptance criteria sorted. So all of that stuff happens. And then at the end, it will again create a handover from project 3 to project 4. So everything above that is for me to consume, me or the other team to consume. And at the end of the day, it is going to give me a handover project, which I will use to create a prompt for building the prototype. So I'll take a pause again if the 3 stages are clear. So far, what we have done, if you have any questions, feedback, or comments, feel free to speak about them because quick recap, we had project 1. We can see that project 1. If we go to project. So what we have done is we have gone through the interviewer. So just given one screenshot from the IIBS site. It has analyzed it, helped us prepare for a workshop to understand what needs to be done on the website. From there, we have gone and asked the analyst or the co-BA. I don't want to use the word co-pilot. I'm just calling it the co-BA. And I also don't have a cute nickname for it, like Glavis or something, but just the analyst. So it has now given all the analysis. It has understood it. And of course, my job is still to read it. I can't blindly trust what it has done, but just saying that it does a lot of the heavy lifting itself. Then the analyst has done, it has found out themes from the conversation, just like the way we would group all of the outputs. Then I have gone into the solution designer, which is the BA's job a lot of times. Then it has created epics and user stories. This is all things were provided to it. So now we have got a set of stories, a set of acceptance criteria. We have got the epics and themes, all of that sorted out. Last but not the least, what we're going to do is we're going to see how we will create a prototype and how does it look like. Yeah. Any questions so far, folks? Anything that I can answer at this point? The flow, the thought process, what you're seeing, what I spoke before. I know on the presentation, you would have seen 8 steps and you would like, what is this dude speaking about? There's just so many things. But now that you're seeing something work in action, I hopefully have sort of demystified for you. Any questions at this point?
We did have one earlier, didn't we, from Gottfried that we didn't get to. It might not be so relevant here, but it's from earlier. Is using a glossary improving the quality of results? Some reports suggest that using a common language as an additional input to, it says LKLMs improves the results of an LLM. Have you seen differences if you have tried a glossary? And then he's followed it up with, I have made, I can't read it because I've got my reactions in the way. I think it says experience, that the results are more consistent if a glossary is used as an input.
Absolutely. So the part of a context file also sometimes to set up a glossary because in some industries and people who have been working for so long would start speaking even in the sessions or in the workshops that are conducted, people will speak abbreviations, which as a new BA to the domain, you may not understand it. Like when I started doing something on the payment industry, people will start using WSO2, this, that, and everything. And I'm like, that just doesn't make any sense to me, right? I don't even understand what you're speaking about. So but now with the transcript and the context file, which contains the glossary, you can also iteratively build it. You can ask AI to first tell out what are the words or elements that you didn't understand it, I didn't understand it, create a glossary, add it back into the context. It definitely will improve the output because now there is better context setting. Yeah. Any other questions? No? Okay, then let's just look at something that we will do now. Hopefully, if it works. Everything has become so slow. I know it's 7 o'clock, but okay. So what I'm doing here is before we get to build the prompt, I want to ensure that the prototype that is getting built in follows the style guidelines of IIBA. So I have a prompt written, just copy pasted it. I just needed to analyze the IIBA website. I'm going to enable the web search, and it's going to go ahead and hopefully search for the IIBA site. It's going to extract all of those elements that it wants us to work upon, and I'll let it run. But while it is running, I will also now show the fourth project, which is the prompt builder. So I'm going to use a tool called bolt.new. If you haven't used bolt.new, it is a tool that I use for app development as well as I use it for prototype development. It helps a lot in the context. But if you see what has happened is from the prompt, once it runs, it is going to give me a style reference. And the style reference has got the color palette. It has got all the names, numbers, the hex numbers of the colors. What is the typography? Again, from everything that prompt figures out. So all of that stuff is put in navigation style. All of that stuff is there. And then based on that, what the system will do is it's going to take in, if you remember, we had the output, which was the user stories and epics. So it has identified the selected stories, whichever we wanted to make it work. So based on all of the stories that it has selected, again, same thing, cataloging. It has cataloged the stories, it is cataloging now the acceptance criteria. So there is accountability for everything that is put in place. Then it is going to identify the scope boundaries because the stories can be across pages, can be within a page. The page itself cannot be designed. So it is now doing all of that analysis. It's going to find out again the conflicts which were in place. And then it's going to generate. So it's going to validate the same process that it does. And at the end of it, what I will see is you will find a bolt.new prompt, which is build a multi-page site. So all of that stuff is there. I'm going to pick all of that stuff in. The entire prompt, basically to build the site. It has got all the pages, everything in place. I'm just going to pick that all in. Yeah, no copy in. I'm going to go to Bolt. So that's the site that I use, bolt.new. And I have got the prompt was created here, which I've copied. Yeah. And I'm just going to paste that in. I'm just going to click on build now. Of course, it's going to take some time. And while it is running, we can think about some other questions if you have on the chat, or I can just flash on the screen. I can perhaps flash, where is the slide about it while it's working. So AI across the elicitation, oops, sorry, too fast. Across the elicitation toolkit, whether you're doing interviews. So we have now seen an example of an interview preparation, right? We saw the AI help us prepare questions. We have now understood the workshop transcripts, which was done. We have done an observation, and currently we are doing prototyping. So across all of this, of course, Bronya, we can work out on how to share the deck. I'm more than happy to share it. Right, so I'll send this across and then we can definitely have a look, but you can definitely understand what AI can help you do, what you should use it with caution. So I think there was throughout the session, there were questions raised about what we should and what we shouldn't be doing, and what part of us is still going to be relevant, because I think, which is a sticky topic that I don't want to really get into the evening side, is what's going to happen when AI can do everything, right? This is personal observation. It's not been spoken by experts, but it's just understanding, even if AI exists, how we are still relevant and how we can still continue to be relevant can be understood by all of this stuff. And so I've just mapped out from, of course, a lot of this you will find in the BABAC, the business analyst body of knowledge, the standard set of elicitation techniques, what AI can use, how do you use it with caution, and where we will still be relevant. I'll definitely share this across so that you have a copy of it. So now that we are spoken, I'll just leave it for a few seconds and hopefully Bolt would have started doing something, or something that you're seeing on the screen. If there is a question on it, absolutely feel free to pop that in the chat or come off mute and to ask that in.
With your Bolt app builder, do you use the free version? Is there a paid version? How much is that costing you at the moment?
Mine right now is a paid version because I do some personal stuff on my own. Because like Bronya introduced me, I'm really an AI experimenter. I really love to do about things. So I'm right now, my strategy is I don't spend too much on all the tools in a month. I'm sort of juggling in. In UK, you definitely have got on your banking apps, you have got a gambling limit. So I have a limit in my mind that every month I'm okay to spend X pounds to experiment with different tools. So like there is Gamma, which I use. So the presentation that you're seeing has been formed out of Gamma. It's a presentation creator tool, so it can do all of this stuff in Bolt.new. That's another one. Claude, of course, I have a paid subscription. So for Bolt.new, I think the subscription price is £20 a month, and you get a certain set of tokens. There is, of course, a free version available, but the free version also comes with a limitation of the tokens that it uses. So for that token, whatever you can do, you definitely, I think it gives you 1 million token. So roughly in 1 million token, you can create somewhere between 6 to 7 static web pages with around 10, 15 fields, but it all depends on how you prompt it. Because I have learned it through a very painful experience when my prompt was very bad. It ended up burning on a paid version, it ended up burning 4 million tokens, and I really couldn't recover it because it really tanked the entire code. So it is nice to use, but you also have to be using it carefully with the right prompt.
And I think most people who'll be listening will either be thoroughly excited of lots of new things that they can try, or they'll be going, wow, there's lots of stuff that I need to add to my toolkit like quickly. The world's moving really quickly. But James has just asked what AI competencies are becoming essential for BAs.
Uh, so James, in my experience, like I just mentioned, right, specifically pre-COVID, I would not have imagined 45 workshops in a month across the globe to happen. Of course, Microsoft Teams is to partly blame for making that happen because now everything can get recorded. You can be on video, you can be pretty much anywhere you want it to be, and then it kind of gets the work done. So the thing that's going to happen is the tools are going to become more and more available, which means as and more tools become available and businesses start integrating it, there's always going to be an element of how you utilize AI. So, and I think on my LinkedIn, some of my LinkedIn posts, I did mention a majority of AI usage right now is as a productivity multiplier. So people see that the presence of an AI tool should help you give more output, but it should not come at the cost of you stretching out yourself, right? So based on just the meetings, a lot of tools have come out. There are tools that can do transcripts, there are tools who can do analysis, there are tools that can generate the output out. I think my internet is having an issue, that's why it's all slowing down. But knowing about the tools itself is very valuable, and also trying to be always experimental. I think all of us at this point in time, what would be necessary for us is to keep an eye out of what is happening in the world. And I think I will leave you with a framework that I have in mind, which should basically help you ask questions for the work that you're doing and figure out if there's an AI tool for that. I'm not saying that it's a catch-all, phrase-all kind of a thing that will always help you stay ahead of time, but it'll at least give you some guidance. Yeah. Okay. So given that, in line with how things are happening today, and
You
it is
might, if
Tuesday.
you, this is very random because most of the
Mhm.
things are being processed elsewhere. But if you come off screen share just for a very short amount of time, on the last presentation, I had to do that to make one of the applications AI be able to process fine. So it's worth just doing that
Okay.
and then seeing if that works, and then reshare if it does. Just give it a minute and see if that improves it, which you wouldn't expect it would, but it did on. I was using a AI within
A
Miro or
good
something.
tip. No,
It uses, because Zoom with screen sharing steals quite a lot of processing power from us.
potentially. And yes, all of these are also heavy AI applications which do need a lot of in-memory processing. So that definitely could be a reason. But I think I'll share again. Hopefully we are able to. Okay. All right. So as soon as it renders, we should be able to see. So this was again something that I did earlier today, just to see that it was all working and I should not be facing a problem in the demo, but of course it has cost. So the same thing, the whole file, the user stories, the templates which will put in this particular stuff. We have taken that in, we have put that on, and then I've given that prompt into it. And as you can see here, what it does is Bolt actually goes through everything that was spoken. So it builds in the navigation, it builds in the homepage, it builds in the registration, everything that we have done. And it gives you an idea about how it does, what it does. I'm just waiting for it to render. As soon as it renders, we definitely would be able to see what the whole point was about. And I can show you how the refreshed or proposed refresh site would look like. And yeah, I mean, I hope there was something that I could do. Perhaps I'll just try to close other memory stuff, which is consuming a little bit of bandwidth. Oh yeah, there you go. So that's how the new, I mean, based on the transcript that was spoken, one of the first themes that came out was on the event page. It does not really call out who we are as IIBA, what happens. So it does, okay, just refresh. So it basically calls out everything. So every single bit of information that we put out there was, I think I really hogged every single memory bit that is there.
We definitely
on my
saw it. We
laptop.
definitely saw it for a minute there, Shobin, and it was impressive for that whole 20 seconds it was there.
Hopefully we still have 8 minutes. Hopefully we should be able to see something more there.
Look
Yeah,
very
so
corporate, very corporate. They look quite
yeah.
nice though, yeah.
Yeah, so like I said, right, it was all because we prompted it well. I also showed you the prompt where it could go and fetch in the entire style guide. So it has remained true to IIBA's colors, the white, the blue, the orange, and it has tried to create all of that stuff in. And if we look at what we gave was everything that we had provided. So there was all colors, accents, everything was there. So it knew what exactly had to create. The prompt was created by Claude. So Claude did provide all of that input in. Just wait in for it to render, and then it creates that. So I hope over this last 50 odd minutes, you have seen that a lot of time went in preparing these projects or custom GPTs or Copilot agents that you can think of. And once it was all done, all I had to do was give it the right time, the right inputs. So I gave the input about the image, then I gave the input on the meeting transcript, which I again created out of AI for the purpose of this demo. And then we had the output coming in as epics and stories. And then from epics and stories, we went ahead and then created the prompt to build the prototype. And I hope the prototype comes in. I'm going to wait in a minute more. Otherwise, I'll just publish the website and you can definitely, and this has got a publish, so you can also host the website as you want. And I don't remember the name of the gentleman who asked me the question. So you get tokens for every month for the paid version that you're using. Unused tokens roll over just to the next month. So I had some bonus tokens last month because there was some event which happened at Bolt and they gave a lot of tokens for a lot of people. So there are something that I have pending to consume. I had around 2 million tokens, roughly around 2 million tokens before I went and built in all of this stuff in. So it has consumed roughly around 1.3 million tokens to build all of that stuff in. And you have got tiered pricing. If I can, maybe. So that's the tier pricing that is there. It starts at $25, roughly 20 pounds for 10 million tokens. And then you can go all the way as much as you want to buy, depending on what you want to do. And then of course, there's an enterprise version of it. So feel free to tour. And there is a free version, absolutely. It does give you a certain amount of tokens. So you can definitely see that in place. Okay, I promise before we finish the workshop, we hopefully should be able to see. Let's just try to publish it. Okay. It's not created the preview, but maybe it'll publish the site. Then we should be able to just browse that in. Okay. Any last questions? We have 5 minutes on the call. Any last questions from anyone?
We've definitely answered all the questions that were in the chat. There's lots of people have said, have messaged at the bottom here just to say thank you, that it's been really good and really helpful, hoping to get resources, really useful and valuable. And thanks to everybody who took part in organising as well. A couple of things you did mention as well there around cybersecurity and the usage of data and that sort of thing. I know there's lots of questions we do have in the AI Insights pipeline. There's another one coming up. I think it's the one in 2 months' time. We're doing them about once a month. So that's going to be led by Kitty, isn't it? Kitty and Bindu, I think it is. So there's one ahead for that. So if you've got lots of questions around that, that's a really good one to come along to. Back to you, Shobhan. I think there's no other questions in. Oh, you have another question, James. Do you want to come off mute for that? Because if you have, I haven't found it.
Yeah, sure, no problem. Yeah, it's just I suppose, how do we strike the right balance between like leveraging these AI tools and developing deep business analysis competence? Like, this is more for, I'm thinking, aspiring or junior BAs. Like, for obviously experienced BAs, like we kind of know like what skills we need in terms of analysis, asking the right questions, techniques, all that kind of stuff. But for anyone new coming into the field, aspiring or junior, like, how do we, I suppose, give them the right leverage to use these tools without still using their right mindset to do the analysis?
It's a quite loaded question, James, and I wish I could have a very simple answer for that. I think for the aspiring BAs, what is important is definitely to learn the trade first before trying to jump in to use the tools. Because one thing that, I mean, as you saw the entire thing in 50 minutes, roughly 50 minutes, we have gone in from just taking one screenshot all the way to going to build a prototype, which today with my years of experience, I'm able to bind things together, use AI for it. But if folks don't get to experience that, they would lose developing those skills. So I think last session, I think it was, I forgot, in Bronya, your session, there was this person from Principality who spoke about, with the junior BAs or aspiring BAs, it's not about giving them the entire toolkit, but giving them bits and pieces of the toolkit to help them understand what's the importance of that toolkit, how to use it, how to even verify the output of it, and not just blindly trust everything that is coming out of it, right? So I think there's a balance that needs to be developed in that. Of course, the art of possible can be explored, can be explained, but then at some point, it is also important to understand that they also develop the skills and tool knowledge as they are progressing through their journey of being a good BA.
James, I'll give you the contact there as well if from Principality if you want to
Yeah,
contact
please.
them.
Yeah, if you could, that'd be great.
No problem.
Thank you.
Okay, so just in the last minute that we have, I'll just, it's really taken a lot of bandwidth. Just put in the last thing there. Hopefully, you are able to remember that. So in my mind, I use framework, something that I have coined the digest framework, which is what you have seen right now through the entire stuff, is you always define what you want to do with the AI. You provided the right input. You gather everything that you want. You explain the output. You sense check, trust, but verify. You trust AI will generate the output, but you have to verify that, right? And last but not the least, I mean, if you want to screenshot it for now, please feel free to do it. Nothing harm in that. And of course, we'll try to figure out a mechanism to send that across for you. And then there are elements on the responsibility part, which is, I think, one of the first things that was asked about consent for using AI and data privacy. That is very important. So just ensure that all of that is ticked off when you start using AI for your work or when you enhance the output of the work that you're trying to do. And then always be transparent, have it explained. So you have seen me use catalogs, numbers, and notes that always help it understand where it is and what it needs to do. Yeah. So with that, on time, I will say thank you for attending this session with me. Again, on the QR code there, the number is wrong. If you can get into menti.com and give me a feedback on the session, the presentation, that would be really helpful. Apologies if the number doesn't come out correctly, but the QR code should really work and you should be able to get in there. And I can be found on LinkedIn. Shobhan Vincent is the name, simple enough to find. Hopefully, you are able to stay in touch with me. I'm able to stay in touch with you, and we can grow this as a community with the AI part. Thank you so much for taking our time, and apologies for the slowness that came in towards the end. The system really died out doing all the AI work.
That was great. Thank you very much, Shobhan. Thank you everyone for attending on behalf of IIB UK. And thank you. We'll see you at the next one.
There's the site, how it looks. Finally, it came up.
Really good.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you. Have
Thank
a good
you.
evening. Bye.